Welcome, everyone, to the August 12th, 2025 council meeting. Prior to the open agenda, council met for a closed session. It was moved by Councillor Boleski and seconded by Councillor Ashford. That pursuant to Section 239(2) and 3 of the Municipal Act SO 2001 C25 as amended, Council of the Corporation, the Town of Parry Sound, moved to a special meeting closed to the public in order to address matters pertaining to B, personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, harassment of staff by a member of the public, allegations against an identifiable individual, Carling Integrity Commissioner report, Hall of Fame collection. C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land for municipal or local board purposes, request to terminate a long-term lease. D, labor relations or employee negotiations, staff members' comments on workload. E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Whitestone funding agreement with the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board. And that meeting was had. As a reminder, this meeting is live streamed and recorded and available on the internet by visiting the Town of Parry Sound website at www.parrysound.ca. I'd like to acknowledge now that we're on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people under the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850 and the waterways traveled by the Métis of this region. And before I get into the rest of the meeting, applications are open for the Town of Parry Sound's $500 scholarship. Eligible applicants must have a permanent home address in the Town of Parry Sound, be a student of a Canadian university or college, and in their second year of studies as of September 2025. For complete eligibility criteria and an application form, check the Town of Parry Sound's website at Town Services, and you'll find scholarship as one of the options. That's Town Services, then click Scholarship. And the deadline for applications is Friday, August 29th at 12 o'clock noon. Now, I have one item that has been pulled from the agenda, 931, because neither Mike Kearns or Kyle Hall are here. So that one has been pulled. And I'd like to add correspondence item 4.3 to the agenda for direction on that. That's a letter that came in the last day or two. Are there any other additions or prioritization of the agenda? Councillor McCann.
Mr. Mayor, I wonder if we could, under correspondence 4.1, add that this evening as well.
Okay. 4.1.
Yeah.
They haven't asked for being able to park the load vehicles and unload vehicles. Yeah.
And this, seeing as though I'm a driver for community support services, I will declare a conflict of interest for this one. I get it on and then I walk away.
And then you walk away. Okay.
I promised Linda.
All right. Any other additions or no? All right, mover and seconder for the agenda then. Councillor McCann, Councillor Keith, that the council agenda for August 12th be approved, 2025 be approved as amended. All in favor? That's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Nope. Okay. Mover and seconder for the minutes. McDonald and Boleski, that the minutes from the regular council meeting held July 15th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Any comments or discussion on those minutes? All in favor then? That's carried. Thank you. Questions of staff? Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. Seeing as Ms. Kearns isn't here, perhaps Mr. Bonanza can maybe field this one. We've had recent power outages, I think 3 outages in the last couple of weeks, and we're getting some comments from the public as to what's what's going on, and I don't know if you could shed any light on what the frequency is and why I know there's probably an overage of use on the grid, but is this something we should be expecting to happen more frequently, or?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I will take this back. I don't have any comment or insight on this, so, but I will take it back and we can also get in touch with Lakeland and see what the issues were and what caused it.
Thank you.
I do know that the last power outage, the one that happened the other day, was a feeder line from Ontario Hydro. And then there was also the pole that was hit on the corner of Bow Street as well, which caused a number of disruptions with regard to internet, telephone, that sort of thing. And some hydro issues as well, because the power had to be shut down to replace that pole and connect things up. So, you know, what I will say is Lakeland has been very busy the last little while with a number of different things, and I think their crews have tried to do the best that they can with everything that's occurred, sort of thing. So yes, Councillor McCann, you.
Yeah, this would be for Mr. Bonanza as well. A couple of weeks ago or meetings ago, we brought up the topic of an extra gazebo, which was out behind Canada College, and I think that was earmarked for Kinsman Park. What's the status? Has it been moved yet, or is there a contingency plan to move it this summer?
Sorry, I don't want to sound like a through you, Mr. Mayor, broken record, but I have a meeting tomorrow morning with the manager of Parks and Rec and Mr. Kern, so I will follow up on that.
Hey, thanks. You're on this hot spot.
Councillor Ashford.
I think I have one that you're going to be able to answer. I noticed that the Mill Street boat launch is closed. I was wondering if that's related to the dock replacement, and if so, what's going on with the old dock once it's removed?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, Monday's closure was due to the reinstall of the new dock and taking away the old dock. The old dock could not be used due to the fact that it is foam filled. The actual park that's right beside the boat dock actually showed some interest in it, and they wanted to refurb it and take the foam out and everything. They did approach us and we said that's no problem because we were just going to be scrapping it anyway. So they will be taking it, and they're actually repurposing it for people that are on islands that don't have boat access to actually help them. So they don't have to incur big costs, and they're donating that, so.
Thank you.
Very good. Councillor Keith?
My question is for Ms. Kruger. Take it, she's on Zoom.
Yep.
You who? Great. Okay. I've had the concern raised that on the Newtown Beach, Robino Beach there, the geese really like being on that beach. And the concern is, of course, that with many geese wanting to be on that beach, it doesn't seem to go well with people wanting to swim and play. I'm wondering, are there any deterrents that we are able to use at present to help to encourage them to fly off somewhere else, preferably north or south?
Through your worship, I'm not aware of any deterrents that we use currently, but I can certainly speak with the manager of Parks and Rec to look into what might be available out there. There are some different things that can be used to deter geese. They are fairly persistent, but it's definitely something we could look into.
Any other questions? Councillor Borneman?
This is just a response sort of to Councillor Keith. I'd contacted Mr. Cairns about this issue, and he had indicated that we had purchased some devices in the past that didn't really work very well by the sound of it. And he's investigating other options, but reminded me that migratory birds are protected. So there are some limits as to what we can legally do.
Counselor Ashford?
I didn't see Ms. Kruger on there, so I had a few questions for her. I was wondering there's been a few instances where situations where dogs have attacked other dogs in town or dogs have bit people. And I think there's a lot of confusion around exactly what the responsibility of the town is. And I know at one point, dogs are quarantined, but they're not quarantined by the town. The owner and different things like that. And I don't really know the full situation, but I was wondering if you could kind of lay out where the town's responsibilities are in that area and kind of how the process goes when there is a situation with a dog in the public.
Certainly, through your worship. Dog bites are notoriously difficult because there are multiple agencies involved in an investigation. If somebody is involved in any type of dog attack on a domestic animal or on a person, the town would certainly be someone that they could be reaching out to. We do investigate. If they haven't already sought medical attention and or spoke to the health department, we would also play a role in reporting. That is something that is our responsibility as well. If a person is bitten, there is a responsibility to report that to the health department. But we then investigate under our bylaws. So we do obviously have an animal control bylaw that does have provisions for when a dog bites and some actions that we can take. In addition, in certain scenarios, we may also be investigating under Dog Owners Liability Act for some of the more serious attacks or incidences that we have. The police, OPP, sometimes do become involved as well if they happen to be called first, and they similarly can enforce under the Dog Owners Liability Act. But for sure, the town does investigate these situations when they're brought to our attention and ensure that the proper reporting process is done. Unfortunately, some people don't know that whole piece, and it does get a little bit confusing. And there is a quarantine process through the health department that we would ensure they were contacted if we were made aware of the dog bite.
I was also wondering, just relation to that, has there been any updates on the exotic animals bylaw that we were looking at recently?
Through your worship, that is definitely something I've still been working on. This summer has been quite busy and it hasn't quite made it to council yet, but it's something that you can look forward to seeing. I anticipate this fall, and then we can get that in place.
And then finally, I've been contacted by a few ratepayers who are very concerned about cats. Not so much that cats are causing trouble for them, but the welfare of cats. That we don't have like a humane society or something in town or somewhere to bring a cat if they are found, a lost cat, like we do with dogs. How does that work? And what can we do as a town for cats? Not exotic cats, small cats.
Through your worship, you're correct that we do not have any regulations in regards to cats. So depending on the specific concern, if we're looking at a lost cat situation, if it's brought to our attention, we absolutely support people looking or who have found by posting through our Facebook page that we already have for stray dogs. It does have a pretty good following, so that does get the information out there, and we encourage them to post similarly. In a case of a stray found cat, we would potentially suggest that they contact the Muskoka SPCA as well for support. There are situations if they have a space that they will be of assistance. And then typically we'll have a conversation around, is it truly a stray or is it just maybe wandering? Sometimes posting and leaving it alone unless it appears to be in immediate distress is, probably your best bet. And that's sort of the services we can provide. There's also some local shelters local rescues that we may recommend people speak with if it's a certain situation that may be appropriate. And they try to support residents as well when they can through their rescue efforts.
Thank you very much.
Okay, are we all questioned out? All right, correspondence, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have two items of correspondence and then the third that was just added. So the first item is from Linda Taylor, the Program Director with the West Parry Sound Community Support Services. The request is for a volunteer parking program in Parry Sound, which would allow community support services volunteers to park temporarily up to 15 minutes in loading or signed no parking zones with the purpose to support short-term parking needs associated with volunteer deliveries and passenger pickup and drop-off activities. And I understand there's a request from council to consider some direction, so I have something prepared when you're ready to hear that. The second item is from the Parry Sound Area Founders Awards, Parry Sound Area Founders Circle, I should say. It's a press release with notice that the awards application is now open for the first prize of $10,000 and the second prize of $5,000. Eligibility criteria is a part of that press release, a notice of past winners, and a deadline of October 31st this year with information on where that application can be sent. And it can be viewed online at Parry Sound Founder Circle. And then the third item of correspondence, sorry, having trouble bringing it up, is from, it came from an email, parentsforparrysound@gmail.com, and contacts for coordination of that group is Vicky Christie, Shane Reynolds, and Amy Black, with a request for council to consider their concerns and sign on to a letter. So their concerns are with the delayed opening of the K-12 super school in Parry Sound, and with the community demands or requests of calling on the Near North District School Board and the Ministry of Education to provide a full explanation of the causes of the delay, provide a realistic updated completion and opening timeline, published a detailed contingency plan for accommodation, including transportation, safety, classroom resources, and staffing, and commit to regular public updates until the school is completed and operational. And the last item, number 5, is host an urgent public meeting in Parry Sound within 2 weeks to address concerns directly. The request is for a number of signatories in the Parry Sound area, yourself, Mayor McGarvey, and chiefs of nearby First Nations and MPP and MP of Parry Sound Muskoka. So likewise, I have prepared a draft direction if you choose to consider that.
So those two items can be on the agenda later?
Sure.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. Next are deputations. We have 3 deputations tonight. The first one is Margaret Hastings, opposition to the Georgian Bay Aspiring Geopark. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mayor McGarvey and Council and CAO Harris for having me here today. We're just going to load up this presentation, and I'm going to be talking to you about why the town of Parry Sound should oppose the Georgian Bay Geopark. As soon as technology becomes our friend. Should we go to current slide? Screen. Oh, this is in here. Let me do it. Share.
Up the top one.
That one?
The
Okay.
entire screen.
All
Make
right.
sure, oops.
That's good. And now we're going to share sound.
It should be.
Share computer
It's
sound.
on
It's
already.
on. Beautiful. And now I'm going to go to slideshow. On the current slide. And oh. Go to the beginning. This doesn't count in my 10 minutes, right? I've practiced a few times and I can get it just into 11. But I'm probably going to be talking pretty quickly. The point of this presentation isn't to be anti-tourism. I know that tourism is an important part of the official plan for Parry Sound. The point is Parry Sound should be in charge of the tourism in your municipality, not an organization that prioritizes North Simcoe. And I'm going to make the case that that is exactly what the Georgian Bay Geopark does. Let's see, how do I scroll down? There we are. So who am I? I'm an adjunct professor at York University Schulich School of Business. I teach strategy and I also teach marketing. And one of my courses is marketing communications. And that's really important because the Geopark executive director, Tony Pigott, is a retired advertising agency executive. So I actually have worked with ad agencies and I understand strategies behind communications and what he says and what he does not say. I've spent my life on Georgian Bay, including 26 years as a cottager on Parry Island, and I served on the board of Georgian Bay Forever for 3.5 years, stepping down in October of 2024. And finally, I've actually worked as a consultant with economic development departments for municipalities, including writing and executing tourism plans. So I'm pretty familiar with tourism. So there are 5 issues about why Parry Sound ought to oppose. The first is the primary economic benefit is going to go to North Simcoe, not here. You are going to see increased costs associated with this and not have the commensurate economic benefit. You're going to lose control over how Parry Sound is branded as you become absorbed into this 48,000 square kilometer geopark. You're going to see increased competition for government funding from FedNor and RTO 12, and this does not have the support of the community. So what we're going to start by doing is I'm going to turn my mic off and I'm going to play you a presentation from Tony Pigott presenting to Midland Council, because it was actually Midland that commissioned the feasibility study for the geopark as they're looking at developing some waterfront land in Midland. And so you're going to hear from him in 2021, then you're going to hear from him again in 2023, and then that will be closed out by the mayor of Midland, who's going to talk about the location of the Discovery Center for the geopark. So I'm going to turn.
About a year ago, Middle Landing Development Corporation presented Council with a significant opportunity to stimulate economic development for the whole North Simcoe region by seeking a designation as UNESCO Global Geopark. In a few moments, you'll hear a presentation from Brand Trade, who undertook the feasibility study. And the primary benefit of the UNESCO Geopark designation for the whole of North Simcoe is that it will brand and market the whole region to visitors and investors alike.
Georgian Bay and the participating regions could indeed be one of the most significant UNESCO geoparks in the world. It's the fact that there are elements of the Georgian Bay writ large here in North Simcoe that allows this area to pass the test, as it were, as a microcosm of Georgian Bay.
The concept of the Geopark of Georgian Bay, if Midland, I don't want to say claiming, but we initiating the Georgian Bay Geopark, Georgian Bay is quite large and it goes over Collingwood, Parry Sound, Owen Sound, Killarney, Manitoulin Island. How did those municipalities, would they be able to come into play or collaborate or partner with this opportunity?
In time, other areas of Georgian Bay will engage, but North Simcoe has the opportunity to be the first mover and to be the, I won't say dominant, but the gateway to the UNESCO Geopark and the place that people go to first, being adjacent as you are to 4 million people, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm here to update you on the progress that we've made and the opportunity that it represents. So as you look around in the feasibility study that we did showed it, that they are a proven tourism and business generator. We believe, as we did back in September of 2021, that Midland North Simcoe area is a genuine portal to deep time and a microcosm of the entire Georgian Bay Geopark.
Penetanguishine's licking their chops at being the epicenter for North Simcoe for the the Discovery Center there. So I detect some friendly rivalry between us. But really, I think about this in all seriousness, like hands in a glove, right? I mean, which finger on your hand is more important than the other? This is really a North Simcoe initiative. And when I think about the four, arguably five, because part of Southern Georgian Bay Township, we're all in this together as the launching point for the Geopark for visitors. So we all stand to gain immensely from the international, clout that we'll get as being a Geopark and as the launching point from our municipalities.
All right, so you heard North Simcoe mentioned 8 times in that video. You heard the Geopark Executive Director talking about them having first mover advantage, although he redacted dominant, but using them as the gateway, or whoops, skip that, for Georgian Bay. If you haven't seen a map of the Geopark yet, the pink boundaries, including all of Simcoe County, right down to Bradford, is the defined proposed boundaries of the Geopark. And this project was initiated in 2019, achieved an aspiring status in 2022. If Parry Sound has not been consulted, one would have to ask why. And I really believe it's the importance of Simcoe County. So I am going to play you another video. In December of last year, Georgian Bay Forever met with the Geopark people, and although I had stepped down from the board at that time, I was invited to attend. So, troublemaker as I am, I asked them about funding from Simcoe County.
Are you receiving funding from the town of Midland?
No, we received money from the county of Simcoe.
Like the region of Simcoe, North Simcoe?
Yeah, well, the county of Simcoe. North Simcoe is where it's happening for us.
North Simcoe is where it's happening for us. That was in December of 2024. I'm going to share you another video. This is going back to the May 2023 meeting with Midland, where, in fairness, Mayor Bill Gordon said, can we assume the Discovery Center would be here in North Simcoe? I think you'll be disturbed by the response.
But I just want to temper the reality that, there's no automatic assumption that the hub will end up even in North Simcoe, because quite frankly, Owen Sound, Parry Sound, all have equal claim to being a sort of a launch point into this. Just wanted to make sure that that's still a sort of a correct assertion, Mr. Piggott.
Well, if I may, the regionalized approach to this includes the idea that in any given township or area of the Geopark, there is an opportunity to create, and it may be a very modest kiosk, but a place where people can learn about the Geopark and be directed in a sense.
So you're going to get a modest kiosk is really the intention in terms of his approach. And, I found your waterfront master plan, and I think about the effort that this municipality has put into this, yet this initiative has been going on for 4 years and they have not brought it to you yet. On to my next point. This is another message or meeting with Georgian Bay Forever, and it's going to indicate you're going to pay for this initiative.
The first point to make is that in a given region, such as Grenville or such as the meeting place, there will be a handful of significant landscapes which will be signature geosites and managed through others, such as parks, conservation areas, and municipalities.
Managed through others. They're not taking accountability for managing the Geopark. You are going to take accountability for that. And they supplied me with a map of some of their signature geosites. And so for Parry Sound, expect a cost to go up for the museum, expect costs to go up for your fitness trails. And then of course, all of Parry Sound Harbor is also part of the Geopark. On to my third point about branding. You brand Parry Sound as the jewel of the 30,000 Islands, and the 30,000 Islands are a major asset and attraction in Georgian Bay. Now, Midland, of course, is there the gateway to the 30,000 Islands, so the 30,000 Islands are in play. But this is how the Geopark is going to brand Parry Sound. You are part of Zone 3, the ancient Himalayas. And that stretches from Honey Harbor all the way up to Killarney. So the geopark is, it's because it was where the Grenville Mountains used to be. So the geopark is really denying Parry Sound its actual branding, and you're going to be lost in the clutter. To my fourth point, they're getting a lot of funding. They got $175,000 from FedDev in 2024 to develop and implement interpretive tourism programming. You can bet they're going to be looking for money from FedNor to do the same. They actually had a total of $250,000 of government funding in 2024 based on this Instagram post by them. So not just Simcoe County, but also Destination Northern Ontario. So you're going to be competing with RTO 12 for tourism dollars as well. Finally, they don't have the support of municipalities outside of Simcoe County. And there is a big initiative in Manitoulin that I guess I started, where there is a wave of opposition starting in Manitoulin Island. The Georgian Bay Biosphere in 2023 published this letter, and that they just said, at this time, GBMGB has not formally endorsed the aspiring geopark. This is a article from Parry Sound from Tuesday, July 8th. Georgian Bay Forever Executive Director David Sweetnam describes Geopark's proposal as one monetizing Georgian Bay. Now, this is really important because the Geopark's communication strategy is leaning into what they call two-eyed seeing. In other words, Indigenous culture. I'll just play you this presentation to the Township of the Archipelago that was done in May.
The whole principle of the geopark is to do it on the basis of what is referred to as two-eyed seeing. The Western research and sensibilities with traditional knowledge.
And here you can see, this is their updated website. This is you, the ancient Himalayas, Killarney to Honey Harbor. You can see you're lost. But the Geopark is on the record of actually calling tourism a form of reconciliation, which in my mind opens up some pretty serious concerns about cultural sensitivity overall. Now, I contacted Wissahickon, especially since my cottage is on their land, and prior to June, they had not been contacted by the Geopark and weren't aware of the Geopark. Since then, they have met both with me and with the Geopark, but they have not provided a letter of support. So my ask of the town of Parry Sound is to have this aspiring geoparks revoked. I think you want to be in charge of tourism for your area, not be lumped into a 48,000 acre or a square kilometer zone that is primarily going to benefit other municipalities. So I've just closing my last slide. This is contact information of who you could contact should you elect to send a letter of opposition. So that concludes my formal presentation, and I would be happy to take any questions.
Do we have questions? Councillor Keith?
Yes, thank you. Just for clarification, why are you so passionate about this matter in, shall we say, 20 words or less? Right to the point. Thank you.
This initiative is going to bring tourism on a global level to this area, and it will be unbridled tourism, tourism over pollution, and it will take away the control from municipalities of tourism. And this group is not taking accountability for any of the management of the destinations that they plan to send people to.
Councillor McCann?
Thank you for your presentation tonight. You've brought up some good points. I certainly have some concerns. Who are these people? Is it a private? Is it nonprofit? Is it a consortium of some sort that's behind orchestrating this whole thing? And what exactly is a geopark for us?
All right. I'm going to start with who are these people. The executive director's name is Tony Piggott. He has a company called Brand Trade. He's a retired former CEO of J. Walter Thompson Advertising Agency. And he was hired by the town of Midland, specifically Midland Bay Landing Property Development Corporation, to do this feasibility study because they have a 40-acre parcel of land that they want to develop. And they thought maybe we can put a discovery center there. He has now brought in a variety of people. His biggest leaders are Mike Robbins, who is a retired tourism consultant. And Nick Isles is a University of Toronto professor and world-renowned geologist. And Nick really lends legitimacy to this entire initiative. And then they've got a few other people on their leadership team, and they have one Indigenous person named Ray Hatfield, who is from Sagamok First Nation. They are a registered not-for-profit. And they secured their aspiring geopark status by submitting a letter and having a conversation with the Canadian Geoparks Network. That's it. So they have not submitted to UNESCO at this point in time, so UNESCO does not formally recognize them. However, they leverage the UNESCO brand significantly to secure funding. So what is a geopark? A geopark is defined as a single unified geographical area with geological sites of international significance that is managed with a holistic view of protection and sustainability. So Georgian Bay doesn't qualify as a single unified geographical area. No one can say that Manitoulin is the same as Midland, for example. It doesn't meet that basic requirement. Certainly we have geological sites of international significance. When I spoke with Manitoulin Island, I said, you are the largest freshwater island in the world. You could be your own geopark, right? They qualify for that, yet they're being denied that economic opportunity if they're absorbed into this. And this group doesn't intend to manage the sites. They intend to have it, as you heard, managed by parks, groups and municipalities. I will say Massasauga Provincial Park has been identified as a signature geosite. I've been in touch with Mike Foley, their superintendent, and he was not aware that they were an international geosite. He has run this up the flagpole to the 3 provincial park zones around Georgian Bay and to their Peterborough office. No one knows about that. They're like, we'd like to know who they're talking to. And they haven't spoken with you either. They're just pushing forward without doing the community consultation or securing community support.
So thank you. That helps explain things very well. What about provincial and federal authorities? Do they not have a say in what limitations this group can avail themselves to?
Technically, a geopark doesn't have any authority over its specific area. It doesn't have specific it has boundaries, but it doesn't have admission. It doesn't have, any ways of exerting decisions for how the area is managed. So to my knowledge, I don't think the federal or provincial governments have been involved. I have sent an email to Graydon Smith saying, I'd like to talk to you about this because I think it's a concern. And I also know that there's an MPP, the MPP for Manitoulin is aware of this and hopefully is going to be meeting with me shortly.
Thank you very much.
Councilor McDonald, and then
Yes, thank you, Worship. Thank you for your presentation. I know when this first came to my knowledge, my first thought was, what does the Georgian Bay Biosphere think about this project? Because they're one of the key stakeholders in the area, and I reached out to them, and they did refer me to their statement that they released in 2023. I do believe it's quite concerning to me that a lot of the local, the stakeholders here have not been consulted. So, I mean, I'd be interested to see if they're looking to move forward, what their thoughts are, or what their side of the story is. But at this point, yeah, it's a little concerning that they're not bringing all of us to the table.
Since I started my deputations in May, they have started some more outreach. And I believe they've submitted a letter to the town of Parry Sound in the last couple of weeks. So I would encourage you to have a deputation. I would also encourage you to watch the May 23rd, 2025 recording of their deputation to the Township of the Archipelago. Because again, the archipelago doesn't want tourism. You're going to see very different messaging depending on the audience.
Any further questions? Thank you for your deputation. Thank you for the information. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Mayor
Yeah.
McGarvey, Council, and CEO Harris.
Our next deputation, 5.2, is Haley Bateman, Bill 9, Municipal Accountability Act. Just while they're setting that up, I did reach out to the Biosphere and had a conversation with Mr. Mason. So I did reach out to the Biosphere to get their background or their information, whatever, on what was going on. So yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, Sally, is it share? Is it screen share? Yeah. It's screen share then. For Zoom. Click. I click. I hit play.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Are we good to go? Sorry about the delay there. Thank you, Your Worship. It was such a pleasure to be here. I am not a permanent resident of Parry Sound or this area, but every second I get to leave Niagara and come here is where I spend my time. So my name is Haley Bateman. I am a resident of St. Catharines, and I'm also a councillor with the region of Niagara. So I'm one of your colleagues down in Niagara. And through my work as a councillor, I've been acquainted with the group Women of Ontario Say No. So Women of Ontario Say No is a nonpartisan group advocating for government legislation to hold municipally elected politicians accountable for workplace violence and harassment. So that's you and I. So today, the Municipal Act lacks sufficient tools for holding councillors accountable for workplace harassment. Currently, the most severe penalty that can be imposed on a municipal councillor is a 90-day suspension of pay. There is no current process for removing councillors from office, even when egregious acts are committed and substantiated. And we need government legislation to change that. This legislation does exist. Every working Ontarian is bound by the Occupational Health and Safety Act, except elected officials. So this bill, Bill 168, prior to being a councillor, I wore many hats, but one of them was working in a shelter, domestic violence shelter. And way back in 2009, we were advocating for Bill 168, and it did pass. And we know now what we knew then is that there was a gap in the legislation. The gap continues, that municipally elected officials are exempt from this legislation. So it requires employees to develop and implement policies and programs to address the issues, including procedures for reporting and investigating incidents. We are asking the province to develop legislation that would hold municipally elected officials accountable for workplace violence and harassment, as I've said. Oops. And 3 times in my term, this term as a counselor, we have had legislation introduced and it has yet to pass. The Liberals introduced it, the NDP introduced it, and now the province, Doug Ford, is introducing it. It is now known as Bill 9, the Municipal Accountability Act. And it was introduced in 2025, and it focuses on enhancing municipal accountability and integrity in Ontario. And if passed, it would introduce a standardized municipal code of conduct, a consistent integrity commissioner inquiry process, and a mandatory code of conduct training for council members and certain local board members. If you talk to the public, I think they think this already exists. That's my experience. So as a counselor in the region, I have a different code of conduct to follow than you all do here. So it would standardize that. So we do require changes. While I am very, very grateful that this legislation has been introduced, it is taking up a significant portion of my life to get this passed. As it's written, this legislation currently requires a unanimous vote by other members of council should an integrity commissioner find that the councillor's actions were in fact egregious. That's problematic because the legislation then can be politicized. We are asking, the Women of Ontario Say No are asking that council be removed from the process altogether, have an independent body to make the decision. This is just recently, probably in the last couple months, I just took some screenshots today of some media coverage about this legislation. So that is my presentation. I sent it to the clerk just today, so my apologies. But I have written a motion. The motion passed at my council. Over 221 municipalities across Ontario have passed a motion asking the province to create this legislation and pass it and do it in a way that is most fair. And I want you to, before I end, this harassment, we certainly know it goes between members of council, but we also have a duty to protect staff who do all the hard work. We get to sit at the table, we get to make decisions, we get to criticize them, but we have a very special relationship with them. We interact with them quite regularly, and we need to protect their workplace. So that's what this is about as well. So happy to answer any questions. Maybe through you, Your Worship, if I could ask the clerk just how the motion was circulated. I wouldn't expect that it would be passed tonight, but it is in your hands to review and potentially pass it at a later date. Thank you, Your Worship.
Ms. Bateman, I haven't actually circulated the motion. It is also on the desktop if you wanted to bring it forward and discuss any of the salient points to it. Certainly I can circulate it after this council meeting. It's underneath, that's right, it's underneath.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're also very organized. Again, I don't, will any of you be going to AMO through you, Your Worship? Wonderful, I will see you there. So that's this week, but this motion speaks to AMO's recommendations. So while I would love to make all of my recommendations to the province and have that passed, this is really a huge group effort through AMO and municipalities across Ontario. So some of the recommendations are excellent, including workplace safety, harassment and anti-discrimination policies and codes of conduct, establishing a flexible administration, a system of flexible administrative monetary penalties, standardized enhanced training, prohibiting any removed councillor from running for office during the remainder of the term in which they will be removed or the subsequent term. And I understand that, some have said that this isn't democratic. And I do understand that point, and that is a valid point. But democracy is more than a vote. Democracy is being able to participate fairly in what we do and respect what we do. So I'm really, really hoping that you'll consider taking the time to read this. Reach out to me if you have any questions, passing this motion or amending it to suit this council's needs. Thank you, Your Worship.
Question, have you been working at all with Mayor Mead Board?
Yes,
Whatever.
actually, thank you for that. I presented my opinions to the committee hearings. There was some held in Niagara, and Big City Mayor, she's the chair of the Big City Mayors as well, and she presented. She sat next to me, and she just started Elect Respect.
Yep.
So we're moving in a really, really good direction, and I would be very, very proud for this to pass in my term as council, to say that's something that we really, really had influence over, and we made the political sphere safer for everybody. And she's been an extremely wonderful advocate.
She has been. I think we passed the Elect Respect resolution a meeting or so ago.
That's
So,
wonderful. Thank you for that. We've done the same in Niagara.
Yeah. So we'll definitely review this one here and have it brought forward at probably our first September meeting.
Perfect.
Okay. Councillor McCann.
Thank you very much for coming here this evening and making your presentation. You touched on democracy, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. There are, I guess, under the Municipal Act, some reasons why a councillor couldn't run in the next election if he didn't turn his financial statements in. There are, I suppose there, so there's some accountability there. I wanted to ask because because you're talking about counselors who are elected by the people, that doesn't make them God, that doesn't put them above the law. So the body that you referred to as sort of being the people who would sort of come to some sort of final conclusion as to what the punishment or final outcome would be for someone who was out of compliance or violated or took advantage of their position. How would that body of people come together? Who would appoint them? Would they be elected? Where do you see how do you see the makeup of that?
Thank you for the question. Great question. Through you, Mayor, integrity commissioners, I think, do a great job, but they are hired by the municipality. So they're hired by their employer to come through to a finding. So there's a bit of conflict there. So what we being the Women of Ontario say no, we think it should start with an integrity commissioner and then go to an integrity commissioner board and stay there. So what we know in workplace incidences of harassment and violence is that not all of it is criminal or can be criminally charged. So what happens is usually, if you're a CAO and you've harassed or abused an employee, you would be hopefully let go from that position. That would be the same type of circumstances. I know with teachers, if you are if you've done something egregious, you're removed from that position until it is figured out, and you could lose your job. Same happens with police in those circumstances. So it would be an independent body. We are saying of integrity commissioners, they're not hired by the municipality at all, so they're arm's length. I think what happens, you have a small council. I sit on a council with 32 members. Right now, the way the legislation is, we're a lot bigger. I heard you laugh. It is a big council. We need to be smaller. We have a population of 500,000 that we represent, but the chances of us coming to a unanimous vote to have someone removed would be impossible. The legislation wouldn't be effective in our region, and I can say that very, very honestly. So,
Hey, thank you.
thank you.
You're on council with Councillor Foster?
I am. He sits next to me.
Okay, give him a shot.
I will happily do that.
A nice polite one.
Yes, of course, a
Okay.
nice gentle one, with permission.
That's right. Yeah. I've known him sometime, so it's, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience.
Any other questions? Jonathan, do you have anything you wanted to?
I just
If you could just stop screen sharing so that there we go. That's good. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
I think
much,
we're good.
everyone.
Thank you very much for traveling up here and making the presentation.
My absolute pleasure.
Our next deputation is Chris Metcalf, Wood Street Construction Project. No Chris Metcalf? No? Okay. Okay. Reports. Councilor McDonald.
Actually, before we get to reports, if there's an opening for a deputation, maybe the ladies here from the Parry Sound Parents Group would want to speak, if they choose to. Is that an option?
Well, we've certainly gone well over our allotted time, but if you want to take 5 minutes, introduce yourself and
Hello.
Yep.
My name is Shane Reynolds. I'm here with two lovely ladies, Miss Vicky Christie and Amy Black. We're here to represent the community. I'm a parent. I'm also a community member, and I'm active, very active in the community with the basketball world. I've had the pleasure of working with these two ladies to kind of come up with some language and some letters to send out to the ministry, questioning the integrity and kind of the redundancy plan of the school. Typically with large scale projects of that nature, there's contingencies and redundancies built into these plans. I look at where we're at now. We were just given a letter on Thursday from the Near North School Board saying that there's a good possibility that our high school will not be built in time for the start of the school semester, which is very disappointing. My daughter's going into grade 9 and my son's graduating this year. So we have lots of questions. We don't know what our timetables are looking like, but I'm one of many parents that has those questions. There's also concerns if we're going to an online learning base, which hasn't been communicated in any shape or form. And like you all know, we live in a rural area. Internet's very hard to get, especially a decent connection at the best of times. Then add possibly 1 or 2 children online learning, the need for a laptop or a tablet that they'll have to purchase, all these things that have yet to be communicated to us community members. I think it's only fair that we have full transparency of what's going on with the school. I think that as an active community member, we sat back and listened and waited, and we've heard a lot of excuses, but we haven't heard a lot of like actual formal plans moving forward. Again, to a project of that degree, to not have certain like deadline dates or drop dead dates. So example would be if the plumbing and the water isn't roughed in by the start of May, then we look at our contingency plan. Oh, sorry. And our contingency plan should have been, let's leave the existing school the way it is. That school should have never been demoed until 70 to 90% of the new school was built. But you can honestly say it doesn't look like that. We're in a position right now that, you know, we don't know what's going on. Kids and many family members are stressed out. We've been told that there's a plan in place, but yet there's no transparency of the plan yet. You know, I sit here as a parent. I'm concerned for my kids' well-being, mental well-being. For those that have children that went through COVID and online learning, it was very, very hard on children. And then to add to that, the fact that we're going to not have a large gym anymore. There's one less gym in our town. I also run the basketball association. We have 4 rep teams, 6 house league teams. Without these gyms, we can't run our sport. So now we're going to lose again with sports. So now you look at that in terms of the kids and their mental health. Where are we looking for answers? We've gone to the MPP. I've been told it's a school board issue. I've said that you're an elected official. I think that it's only fair that you could get these answers. He's asked and he hasn't been given any answers in return. So, I mean, as council, I just was wondering, where do you all sit with this? I'm really just a community member. I've kind of sat back for the last while watching this unfold. I honestly thought there was some type of a contingency or redundancy in plan. I thought there would be drop dead dates, like if there weren't certain things weren't met in the new school, that we would look to keep the new school maybe functioning for a whole year. We also have a bunch of two schools, Nobel and McDougall, that are closing, but I hear that McDougall is staying open for the elementary school kids, which is great. But in January, does that mean they're going to transition to the new school? Because there's talk of the school being sold to the French school or the French school board. So does that mean that now those kids are going to be forced into online learning? Again, no communication. So was just looking for town council support to maybe bring this forward and maybe advocate for some clear transparency of what's going forward. Like I said, we would like a real transparency with the explanation of the cause of delay, a realistic update with project timelines, a detailed contingency plan, and a commitment to maybe regular public meetings to inform the public so that we all understand where we're at with this massive project that we're all involved with.
Oh, where do you want me to begin? I 100% share your concerns. Okay, I think it's on record that myself and council have been very concerned, and staff as well, with the progress or what's being done. For years, we have told them that the school is too small. There's nothing we can change in that right now because the Board of Education at that particular time decided they were pushing ahead with this project the way that it was. So we can't go back and revisit that. It's the future that we have to look at. So what we get is what we're going to get. We did have a meeting in May. The minister came up for a special visit to find out what was going on. And what I will say is that we were told by administration and staff that this was going to be open, ready for the school this season. I didn't believe that for one moment, but that's what we were told. Moving forward, the correspondence that you presented or whatever is, I've asked for it to be on the agenda tonight, so that hopefully council will agree and I'll sign that form. Moving forward, I absolutely agree that transparency has to be forefront on this. To be very clear, we have no say as a council as to the decisions with the school board. All we can do is try to advocate on, the public's behalf or whatever. There are children, well, grandchildren coming up or whatever and that sort of thing, but that's what's growing the community, and we need to make sure we have a good educational system with our community for that enhancement of growth and the nurturing of students in our future. And what we also discovered was that a lot of the correspondence that parents, municipalities, and that had put forward to the school board were never ever given to the school board, and that this stuff is just starting to flow through from administration to the board itself. And it's not the previous board, it's this current board that is finally starting to get that information. Now, some of those members that were on that previous board are still on this one now. And, they need to perk their ears up and pay attention to what's going on, because to withhold information from the public and from municipalities to inform a board, in my mind, is criminal. And I don't mind making that statement, and they can challenge me on that if they want, but if you withhold that information from a public body, I can tell you right now, if that ever happened here, there would be issues, and that doesn't happen. So I'm 100% personally behind what you want to do, because we want that school built in whatever shape and form it has to be, because that's the way that it is right now. And then moving forward, hopefully we can bend the ear of the school board and administration to try and do something so that we are enhancing for the students in the future in this particular area. Because if they want housing, if they want these areas to grow and that sort of thing, then we need proper schools for our students. And so my hope is that once this is done, we can begin that process of starting to look for a new idea of how we can build a better school system here.
Would the township council ever consider helping us go into an ombudsman inquiry? I mean, they have these affiliated people in place for these reasons alone to be investigated and hold people accountable and come to an answer. I have asked the MPP if he sent a letter to the Near North School Board. He has indicated he has, but he has yet to get a response. I deal with the ombudsman quite a bit in my day-to-day job, so I know what they do for a living.
Yeah.
And this is exactly in their wheelhouse. So I don't understand why an ombudsman hasn't been involved at this point in time.
Yeah.
It's
I
kind of
can't
sad,
answer
the
that.
fact that we have a project that's 3 weeks away from a deadline. I know in 3 weeks, I have to have my kid ready to go out the door to go to school, but yet there's no timeline for them right now. And no one's holding them accountable. I've gone as high as I can to try to push this forward. We've gone to yourselves, MPs, First Nation committees to ask for support, and I would really appreciate it if we could possibly push this a little further with this council. I mean, to your point, this is your town. This is the only high school. It's not like Muskoka. If I didn't like the fact that my school wasn't ready in Gravenhurst, I could transfer 20 minutes away to Bracebridge. Unfortunately, we don't have that luxury here. I'm hearing from kids within my own basketball association now that they're looking at going possibly to Simcoe County or going to Rossall Lake College for school now. Now I'm going to lose out on them playing basketball with me. So
Yeah.
now the town loses again.
Yeah.
So again, very concerned the fact that there is no redundancy contingency plan. Nobody's held them accountable and nobody's investigated this.
Yeah.
And it's 3 weeks away before deadline.
You know, we can discuss that when we come up to the direction or whatever with council, whatever, to see about an ombudsman inquiry, that sort of thing. Our MPP was in the meeting in May, just so you
I'm
know,
aware.
and he was privy to everything that was discussed.
I was told now it's a school board issue. I thought that that's what our job is as an MPP, is to be the advocate, the voice of the community.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
a little disappointed.
yeah. Councillor Borneman, sorry to take up so much time.
Oh, Your Worship, I certainly empathize and agree with what you've said. You're probably more experienced with ombudsman than what I currently am, but my understanding is that process isn't short and very direct. 3 weeks is not a long time. Mr. Mayor, back in leading up to the meeting in May, our concerns were expressed directly to the minister. And I think that probably in view of the fact, we all read the same blurb as what you were referring to, in view of the fact that the school board hasn't been forthcoming with the community, perhaps involving the minister's office again at this point is the thing to do. You know, squeaky wheel gets the grease, whatever, but let's look for some direct answers. You know, shortly after the minister attended in Parry Sound, several school boards were taken under the direct control of the province. I'm not advocating for that. I'm not even sure if that's a good step, but it's certainly, you know, what's going on here leaves everyone wanting, and something needs to change.
If you want, what we can do is we can move this resolution forward and we can have that discussed now while you're here.
Certainly.
So you're aware of it, and if there's anything extra that council wants to do, then I think we can do it at that time as well, so that we cover all the issues.
Have you seen some of the letters that we have received from the Near North School Board regarding the latest one from today, August 12th, assuring us that they have plans to have our students starting as of September 2nd in the school,
Where?
the school that's currently being constructed. So again, dated August 12th today.
Okay, all right. Can we get a copy of
Oh,
those?
sure. I can give that to you right now, actually.
Okay, all right. Super, thank you. Goes to the clerk. Counselor McCann, I think Counselor Keith has a question. Are they for this gentleman?
It was more of a comment than a question. I tend to be a person who likes to go full forward, and I am of the opinion that if we write a letter to the Minister of Education and asking the minister to take over responsibility and the running of the school board, certainly we're going to get some thought processes moving pretty quickly, and there's going to be a much better examination because we already went through the last time explaining our concerns. So I think we need to be stronger than we were before.
Counselor McCann?
Thank you. I haven't heard you mention trustee tonight. Where does our trustee stand on this? Is he with you in your camp?
I believe he is, from my understanding. Again, I'm a little late to the game. I've been sitting back, letting others that have been elected or put in those positions run it. I know Howard's done the best he can. Yes, you can. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Your Worship.
Hey.
Yes, I've had the privilege of speaking with Howard Wesley. He's a local trustee. I know that you worked with him in the spring about advocating for McDougal to be open. He called me, he got receipt of our letter that we sent to the board. He fully supports the transparency. He's been very advocating of that since his role. He told me that they have a contingency plan that they gave to the ministry a while ago that they were waiting to be approved. So it seems like our letter from the board and the minister, from Graydon's office, is that they blame the school board and the school board is blaming the ministry. So I think that Howard is on board, but also our tax dollars fund the Near North Board.
Yeah.
Parry Sound is a small community compared to North Bay. Our students and our families get less services than North Bay does. We see that across the board when we talk about social services, education, health. And we only have one trustee, and who's often outvoted. I think that our voices need to be louder, as Councillor Keith mentioned, and we can advocate with those dollars saying, we want answers. Teachers are to go back in 2 weeks. Mental health is a huge concern in our community. You see that, you're on the different boards. Parents need to prepare, and to get a letter that you'll see in the package that we got from the board is completely unacceptable. They're saying, we told you to be open by the 2nd. They never sent that. The email that families got wasn't even on a letterhead. It wasn't signed. There wasn't an apology saying for any inconvenience or anything like that. So I think that the board seems to think that Parry Sound isn't going to raise a fuss about this. We're just going to let status quo happen. So just to note, I'm really appreciative of you taking it seriously and that you're advocating with us, because I think that it's really time that we stop and say, you need to listen. Our voices and our dollars, it's not just Parry Sound, it's the area municipalities. They matter. And if we were to band together and say we're pulling out of the Near North Board, like we used to have our own board here, that would have significant impacts to the Near North Board as a whole.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's provincially mandated as to how the board is, the size of it or where it is and that sort of thing. Yeah, we did ask, it was a few years ago now, sort of a per capita on how things were compared between North Bay and here. And we were told that they didn't track such things. I don't believe that for 1 minute, but West Parry Sound itself contributes a lot of taxpayers' dollars to the Near North District School Board. And yeah, we have two representatives. And I think the one possibly I'd heard was resigning. So we really only have one right now. And it makes it very challenging. Other than we do get support from the trustee from the MacTier area there, Moose Deer Point. So that is good. But what I'd like to do now is I'd like to bring forward the recommendation or direction that Ms. Johnson has pulled with regard to what you're asking for in this here. Okay, and then we can decide on the other. And I would caution Councillor Keith, I understand what direction she wants on the other, what resolution, but when you go direct as that, sometimes things can come back and bite you a little bit differently than what you really want. My suggestion would be that the direction is to the minister, okay, to investigate and ask for the transparency as well. And if the minister is as good as what he's been doing in other areas, he will be stepping in. I don't think we need to tell him. I'm just afraid that there are repercussions from that. So we'll go about it a different way. Yes.
Has there been any new schools built in the Muskoka area that's compared to like Parry Sound with timelines for construction and something like that we compare to? Do you know of?
No, not
No.
that I'm aware of, no. They're duking it out over hospitals over there.
I see that.
Okay, so I need a mover and seconder for some direction here, Councillor McDonald and seconded by Councillor McCann. The town of Parry Sound receives the letter from the Parents for Parry Sound regarding concerns with respect to the delayed opening of the new K-12 super school and authorizes Mayor McGarvey to sign the community demands. Sorry, yeah, the letter of community demands. Any discussion on that? Oh. All right, that the town of Parry Sound receives the letter from the Parents for Parry Sound regarding concerns with respect to the delayed opening of the new K-12 super school and authorizes Mayor McGarvey to sign the letter of community demands. Any comments on that? Councillor Keith?
Well, yes, I think that those demands should include examining the minister.
We're going to deal with that one after.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
We'll deal with that one after. This is their demands, whatever, from the public, okay? Any comments on that? All in favor then? That's carried. Any opposed? No one's opposed? Okay, good. All right. Okay, I know you're in an awkward position. Okay, all right, very good. Okay. Yeah, I know. I was just watching hands, that's all. Now, the next one we're going to deal with, would it be resolution or direction? That a letter, basically, would it be a letter that's written to the minister asking for, I guess, presenting this letter from the parents? Okay. And asking for the minister to investigate further I guess the opening of the school, Councillor Keith?
The opening of the school and if determined appropriate, consider the taking over of the running of the school board. Something to that effect, because that allows him, if he doesn't feel it's appropriate, then okay, it wouldn't happen. But if as a result of the investigation, we're saying that we realize, it's showing that it's really important to us that this be examined, not just take a little look-see at it, but that it be examined fully and that we're supportive. We realize this because I think in realizing that there's also other things come to light. So this may be the opening that is needed for the future for the operation of the board so that the Parry Sound area is more inclusive.
Okay. I'm going to hear from everybody on this or whatever and that kind of stuff. So we haven't quite finalized this one, but my recommendation would be that he investigate the administration of the school board. Okay, yes, I want to hear from you first.
I was just wanting just to add and clarify that, yes, investigate what's going on, but we need to know what the plan B is. We need to know right away.
Yeah.
And as far as the province and all that goes, that's not our focus at this time. It's just for answers now, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And hold people accountable. That's it.
Yes, have the ministry flush out what that plan is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor McDonald?
Would it be appropriate to maybe set a timeline for this too?
Well, I know they're all gonna be tied up at AMO. They're all gonna be there, and they're all gonna be, so 2 weeks. I realize that puts it into the school year, but I don't know how they're going to flush that out any sooner, to be honest.
Really? Like AMO is a perfect place to corner them all.
It is, but you're not gonna get this, you're not gonna get the investigation part of it done and the responses done in any shorter period of time.
But just to even start the dialogue, right? To your point, if it's not,
I mean, I'll do what I can while I'm
I
there.
appreciate it.
But I think we need an answer back within 2 weeks on that.
Our biggest point is we need to know what's going forward so we can plan for our kids. That we're not, it's not a smear campaign. We're not really trying to like, we want to hold people accountable, but the biggest thing is we want to find out what's the plan and how can we action it according to what we need to do for our own families.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna get it any sooner than that. So definitely within, sorry, Councilor McDonald, you're okay?
Yeah, I think that's good. Sooner than later, but yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Councilor Bournemouth?
Well, this whole thing, from closing schools to this situation has, just been a,
Nightmare.
I was gonna use more colorful language than that, Mr. Mayor, to be truthful, but it's been, the relationship is toxic. There's a complete and utter lack of trust. And I don't know how that's restored in any meaningful way. So in the letter to the minister, I'm gonna ask that we ask him to consider reinstating the West Parry Sound District School Board.
We could do that.
These folks have said it. We're an afterthought for near north at this point. We're out of the way, and quite frankly, we don't have enough numbers to make it count. So, it's return decision-making to the local authorities and let people in the area,
Then let's clarify that in the resolution.
make the calls that are needed to be made.
Yeah, we can, that can happen too. Councillor McCann?
I like what Councillor Borneman said, and it's been a long time since the West Parry Sound School Board, District School Board was in effect here, and I keep hearing a lot of ways in which things were better back then. But when you talk about moving forward in trust and we're talking about opening dates, and you mentioned a conundrum tonight. The province wants us to build more homes, but with those homes, we need schools and we need more classrooms, and so we need to accommodate the students. I just learned tonight, and I don't know if this is true, so I'm just putting it up the flagpole. Does the new school going to have shops and culinary courses? I've been told that that's not the case. In a time when we're short on skills and trades, and we're trying to convince young people that you don't have to always, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to make it in this world, that there's such a great need for electricians and plumbers and chefs. What is the school board delivering, and what can, so if students appear on opening day, what's going to be there for them?
There is a culinary department. There is different shops. My question would be, are they as extensive as the ones that were there before? I have no idea on that.
From what I've been told from the shop teacher, it won't have half the tools that the kids used to have. It's not really geared towards the trades as it once was. To your point, the demographic and where we work and live, there's a lot of tradespeople. And I really think that we need to start really advocating that more into to high school. My son personally is looking to do a trade. He's 16 years old and he's been working for an HRV tech for 2 summers, and that's the route he wants to go. So I think, again, trying to boost the trades and tech classes and opportunities outside of maybe the traditional theory and university courses and stuff like that. I appreciate your thought pattern on that one for sure.
Well, it's just ludicrous that these are not being offered, and what's there is less than they had before. So yeah, I do like the sound of a West Perry Sound District School Board sometime in the near future.
Okay, so we're gonna try and fine tune this resolution. I think it boils down to some points. One, that there's transparency. There's an investigation into the administration, okay, of the Near North District School Board and its policies. And that that the plan, okay, be released for opening or whatever is immediately, okay, not later, sort of thing, and that that's the plan, okay, but the ministry respond to us within 2 weeks of the other items, and that we also include in that we are not satisfied with how this is all rolled out in some way, and that we would recommend going back to a West Perry Sound Board of Education. Councillor Keith.
But in that, why can't we add in addition, or we could put or examination of the minister taking over control of that school board. So we're just showing a number of options. And if the minister decides the latter option, that's fine and dandy. It's kind of like if you aim for the moon and you only hit the stars, you're still doing pretty good if you were just going out there. So I think that this is an opportunity. It will show how serious we are about the matter.
I hear what you're saying, but you're also asking for something that that is coming.
Yeah.
It's a tricky situation to be in. It's like saying the public coming and saying that someone here should be removed from office for a particular reason, and I was cautioned a long time ago about making statements like that and putting them in a formal document. You may direct something or whatever that shows evidence that it should happen, but if you come right out and say it, there can be repercussions that come back, and you might not want to deal with those repercussions. Yes.
Can I just say something? As much as we appreciate the compassion for it, the focus today for us anyways is just to get some answers and transparency and meet the deadline. We very much appreciate the support. I just want to make sure we're focused on what we're here for. I feel like that might be a separate issue, and as parents of Parry Sound, that's not our focus tonight.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate where you're coming from.
Yeah, I do too, but it's just, you got to be careful sometimes what you say. Yes.
I just, to her point, that we really want to focus on, we're just trying to get a direction right now. I understand where you're coming from, and I support it and agree. I just don't want it to take away from the key topic, is we need an answer like today, like not 2 weeks from now, today. Like again, we need some type of direction. This 2 week thing might not really work to a lot of our benefits, because we're going to be calling Bell in a week saying I need internet.
No, I think the response from the ministry on the other stuff is a couple of weeks, but that action plan as to the opening or whatever needs to happen immediately. Councillor Bolesky.
Thank you, Your Worship. The way you've worded that, I think kind of covers what Councillor Keith has asked for when you said that you want the ministry to investigate school board. And if he finds
Administration.
administration, I'm sorry, yeah. And I'm not even 100% sure that the provincial government knows what Plan B is. So so I think if you get this started,
We'll find out.
it might do it, and I think that to look a deeper dive into the how the school board's running may end up realizing what Councillor Keith wants.
Any?
This is what I have.
Okay, that's okay. Immediate of the opening plan. Yeah.
Transparent release, but we're not just talking about transparency, so like public.
Yeah.
Transparent, public, I could say.
Really, public release of the plan.
In 2 weeks, I'll have to-
And
2 weeks.
no, and then
With an immediate, transparent. Public
yes,
release.
yeah, immediate. And then with that part, the investigation of administration.
Oh, if that doesn't bring something to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Councillor Ashford.
Just when you gave the synopsis there, your worship, the one thing that I thought might be missing is just that the purpose of this is that the children and the families are hurting
Yep.
and at risk, as opposed to just being annoyed that there is a delay, right?
We
It's just to make it clear that
we-
it's about the children.
We can flower this
Yeah.
up and think of it.
Please think of the children. Yeah.
Yeah. This turned into more than 5 minutes. Well, it's important, right? So
We have no idea how it took us 3 to get to this point to speak to you to get this much traction. So we appreciate it.
So what we have right now is that the town sends a letter of concern to the Minister of Education regarding the delayed opening of the JK to 12 super school, which includes the letter from the parents for Parry Sound, and requests the minister provide a plan for opening of the JK to 12 super school with an immediate, transparent public release of the plan. Okay, and that the minister investigate the administration of the Near North District School Board with a response to the town within 2 weeks, and that the minister consider the town's recommendation to reinstate the West Parry Sound District School Board. Yeah, Councilor Borneman. Sure, I mean, council do whatever we want. It can be copied to the Near North District School Board.
Can we add Premier Ford? I've been trying to contact his
Oh, we
office as
can,
well.
we'll add Premier
Thank you.
Ford and everything
Yeah.
else and our MPP and of course the minister and the other surrounding municipalities as well. So this is the direction and there will be a letter, and within the body of that letter, we can talk about how the children and families of are extremely concerned, okay, about what's happening day one when the school opens, or when school year opens, I should say.
Okay.
So that can be all, sort of encapsulated into the letter sort of thing. This is the body of what we're going to try and put into the letter.
And then just as an added part, is there a question that we could ask about the plans for the McDougall School in the future for those? We can leave that out. We'll just
I
leave
think
that
we'll,
out.
I think
That's
we'll
fine.
leave that out for right
That's fine.
now.
That's fine.
Because
That's- yeah.
that is another can of worms
that's
that we just don't want to go to
Nope,
right
that's
now.
fair.
Yeah. Do we have a mover and seconder for the direction? We got, pick everybody.
Heavier word than concern, like apprehensive or something, or something that really has some teeth. I was just looking.
Miss Johnson's listening. That will go into the letter. Okay? This is the guts of what we're going to be asking for. So pick two counselors. They're all interested. Okay. Do you need me to read this again? Okay. That the town sends a letter of concern to the Minister of Education regarding the delayed opening of the JK to 12 super school, which includes the letter from the parents for Parry Sound, and requests that the minister provide a plan for the opening of the JK to 12 super school with an immediate, transparent public release of the plan, and that the minister investigate the administration of the Near North District School Board with a response to the town within 2 weeks, and that the minister consider the town's recommendation to reinstate the West Parry Sound District School Board, and that the letters be copied to the Near North District School Board, RMPP, West Parry Sound District municipalities. And Premier Ford. Yeah. Okay, all in favor? And that's carried, none opposed. Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate
Thanks.
everyone's time.
Okay, Councillor McDonald, we'll start with your report. Your report.
Thank you, Worship. In the interest of saving time, I'll just be quick. 1 second here. Where do I? On July the 17th, I attended the Industrial Park Board meeting. July the 18th, the Cherry Street Park opening, new equipment. And on July the 25th, the Booth Street Park opening. And that is the end of my report.
Okay, right, Councillor Bornwood.
I'll try to keep this quick as well. Work continues at Belvedere. The contractors are working in the basement to get the administrative staff moved as quickly as possible, as well as the exterior in front of the building. The Airport Commission met today, and as anticipated, we're seeing more and larger planes. Revenues are up from fuel sales, tie downs, and the cafe. Really positive news there. There's been a heap of activity around town. A whole bunch of it happens on Tuesdays while we're here most often, as it turns out. And as Councillor McDonald said, really happy to see the really positive feedback with respect to all of the new playgrounds. And I can tell from bicycling around, it's taken a workout, which is a good thing. Want to pass on condolences to family and friends of Stephanie Johnson McDonald. I think she was the last regular member of the local media to attend here regularly. She was always fair, inquisitive, never hesitated to ask just one more question, please. And also a large congratulations to Stephanie Weeks, who recently won a bronze medal at a single rope triple under competition in Japan, which is really pretty outstanding. Want to remind folks it's been extremely dry. There are fires burning in every corner of the country, it seems, so let's exercise some caution. And finally, the Bobby Orr Hall of Fame is conducting a silent auction. They have a variety of items signed by various hockey greats. You can bid on the items either in person or via telephone. And obviously, there's a whole bunch more info about that available online. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor McCann.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and fellow councilors, staff, and the public. A couple of things to report on. Wednesday evening, July 16th, I attended the Waterfront Advisory Committee meeting. Discussion centered on the final Waterfront Master Plan open house held at the Stocky Center on June 25th. The committee formally endorsed the second draft of the Waterfront Master Plan. Thursday, the 17th of July, I attended the West Parry Sound District Museum monthly board meeting in person. Financial reports were received for May and June. There was discussion about establishing a membership committee and ways and means of growing the museum's membership. The board is still very much concerned about the condition of George Street and has plans to come to the town with some suggestions about remediation in the near future. And of course, we're also, and I think I mentioned this before, we're looking at rebranding, and we have found a company to help us with that as we move forward. The town parks, the Cherry Street Park, the Booth Street Park, Mission Street Park, official openings, I had the opportunity to attend all of them as well. You know that each park has similar installations and characteristics, and each has its own unique offerings. Like the other parks, Cherry Street Park and Booth Street were designed for safety, fun, and imaginative play. The Mission Park installation, the equipment installation is designed for older kids, provisioning for more opportunities for climbing, maneuvering, challenges, and managed risk, which is so important for children. And many thanks to April McNamara and her staff for putting this all together, and with the help of the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation. Summer in the Sound was held, and I took a stroll through there, and it was nice to see people out and about, and the weather was good. It held off for the better part of the day. Art in the Park, my wife and I attended that on July 20th. And this is an annual event we all know has grown very well. And I understand next year they're planning a 50th anniversary celebration. It all started in 1976. So we wish them the best. And I had a few more words I wanted to mention in passing along condolences to the family of Stephanie Johnson McDonald. Her family, her colleagues, and community were shocked at the news of her sudden passing on July 18th at the very young age of 46, following a brief illness. Certainly was well known and respected as a reporter with the Parry Sound North Star, and later as an entrepreneur. Her face very familiar here in council chambers. As Councillor Borman mentioned, she regularly covered council and did it very, very well. So and then at the Celebration of Life, which is something I attended on Saturday the 9th, I was very glad to have done so. I've known Stephanie's mother for years, and got to meet Tony and the boys and other family members. And one of the Stephanie's uncles read a piece that Jack Tynan wrote in memory of Stephanie. Stephanie is said to have written about 5 million words and about 6,000 articles. A conservative estimate makes up those 5 million words. So she will definitely, be missed. Stephanie was just a year old when I moved to town, and met and got to know her mom. We both worked at CFPQ back in the day, and it seems like a long time ago, and yet it seems like yesterday. So our thoughts and prayers continue to be with the family. And that is my report.
Thank you. Councillor Belaski?
Thank you, Your Worship. It's been kind of a quiet month for me, but I did have a Zoom meeting this morning, with West Parry Sound Municipal Association, and we were discussing the future fall meeting that in September that's going to be held in Orville. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councillor Ashford?
Excuse me, we had an industrial park meeting, talking about the fiscal plan, and we had quite a bit of discussion and prioritized some items to make sure we had in the budget, had a sufficient budget there to make sure that everything that needs to be updated and done and maintained is getting maintained. The parks opening, all the playgrounds has been a real blessing for the community and for my family. And now I thought an interesting one is requests are coming in for more seating because they're so busy that people are standing around or trying to eat their picnics on their laps because there's so many people down at our public spaces. As mentioned, there's Summer in the Sound and Art in the Park. They were wonderful, well attended, and a lot of fun stuff. The one slide was far too scary for a 3-year-old from my experience, but a 6-year-old, she went down it just fine. So wonderful little time there. One thing that was kind of special for me this year is I've been to some of the different events, but it's the first time I was ever at a full Festival of the Sound concert with my wife, and we really enjoyed it. Great turnout and amazing music and amazing use of that building. So it was just a great little opportunity. If anyone has an opportunity, please take it next year. I also wanted to give our Parks and Rec staff some kudos. It's great work on the swimming program. I know my kids came out of it with their passing badges. And we were able to run the bronze level courses, which are so important to get our lifeguard programs and things ready for the new Tamarack North Center. So it was a bit of a shortage of young people willing to take the courses, but that with some advertising, a little bit of work, and some of the community members are able to get enough people in it to run. And then finally, we had a great turnout at they have the cruisers night every Tuesday with all the cars there, but there was the 911 night. So all the different emergency vehicles are invited from all over. And I would have to say, I think pretty much every single municipality in the region was there, at least for fire trucks. They were all there, with the furthest being Britt. But everybody had something different to bring, and it was just wonderful to see so many kids running up and down there. And hopefully they'll become car enthusiasts too as time goes on. And that's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councilors, staff, and the public. I'll be quick. I attended some of the new park openings and have checked out all the parks. Certainly the Mission Park is like a ninja park, so that certainly will work well for older children because there's lots of fun there too to be had. I also did greeting down at the Pearl Mist when she was in, attended the West Parry Sound OPP Detachment Board committee meeting, and of there really the crime is down overall in the West Parry Sound area, including Parry Sound, excluding drugs. There are drug strategies now in place that we are hoping are going to have a positive effect in the whole area. I should also indicate that the mobile crises response team continues to be used and is being very successful in its use. I attended the Waterfront Advisory Committee meeting, which has been mentioned, as well as the Art in the Park, and my condolences to the Stephanie McDonald family.
Thank you. Council staff and public, July 25th was the official opening for the 46th season of the Festival of the Sound. It was a great night of music, and I brought greetings on behalf of council and the town. August 2nd, I attended the birthday celebration for Marion McIsaac. Marianne turned 100 on August 1st, and she still lives in her own home, and she can still dance pretty well. I'll tell you, I presented her with a certificate and brought congratulations and best wishes from the town, and I tell you, there's a lady that's really aware. So more power to her. August 8th, again, I attended the Festival of the Sound performance celebrating the work of Eleanor Daly. I was able to present Eleanor with a certificate from the town, thanking for her achievements that she has made. Born here in Parry Sound, and her music is performed all over the world. And a good number of her family were there on hand to hear the Elmer Eisler singers perform her music. So it was a very special night. Since the last meeting, there have been a number of other meetings with ratepayers. And as was mentioned, a number of the parks with new equipment opened up. And I want to thank our staff for the excellent work that they've done to get these parks re-equipped and ready for public use. I would also like to add my condolences to the family of Stephanie Johnson. She was a great reporter. Um, she did her work. She did her homework to make sure that what she put out was accurate and good news. One little story that I will tell is when we used to do, and hopefully we'll do it in the future again, but when we had the mock council meetings with the students from the schools, Stephanie would come out and we'd make her clerk for the day or whatever and that sort of thing on that. And one of the last ones that we had before things kind of got shut down in COVID, she was told that it wasn't sensational enough to be with the kids and attend these mock council meetings, but she came anyways. And because she knew that it was important for the children, she knew it was important for the children to understand what democracy is and how councils work. And again, she was clerk for the meeting. So so she realized what was important in a community, which I thought was really special. And it's missed. So anyway, that's my report. Ms. Johnson, what do we have up first? We have the community engagement survey strategy, and spokespersons are Ms. Phillips and Ms. O'Connor.
Yes, good evening, Your Worship and esteemed council members. It's wonderful to be here. I am here tonight with our Director of Finance, Stephanie Phillips, and we are presenting the Community Engagement Survey Strategy to provide an update on the upcoming Asset Management Community Engagement Survey for your information purposes, and to invite council to provide any feedback you'd like on the survey questions within about a week's time so we can finalize that survey and launch. So we do have a short presentation. I'll just get that up now. So it is a short presentation. This is really an overview of the strategy. There are further details within the R&R that we've included in your package, including a breakdown. Oh. There we go. Are we sharing? Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you. So we'll just give the agenda that we'll be talking about is the purpose and objective of the survey, the asset management strategy, combined project activities, benefits, the timeline, the launch strategy action plan, and then some samples of some graphics and information that we will be putting out there to promote, and then we'll open it up to any questions. So the purpose and objective, the Asset Management and Community Engagement Survey is one comprehensive survey that shares a common purpose and meets all objectives. Stephanie was working on the Asset Management Survey while I was working on community engagement, looking for benchmarks that we could see where the community engagement was and how we could measure improvements in that. And one of what came out was having a survey to actually establish some benchmarks on where we are with community engagement. So we decided to join forces and pool resources and streamline costs just by doing it together in one comprehensive survey. And that way we're not bombarding the public as well with multiple surveys. So the purpose is to strengthen the relationship between the town and its residents through meaningful two-way communication and obtain data as required by the provincial government to support the asset management plan. And there's several objectives there. Capture public thoughts, get their feedback, and open channels for deeper engagement, which can spin off into focus groups and further learnings from the feedback that we're receiving.
Okay, so the town is now in the final phase of meeting the requirements for Asset Management Regulation 588-17. And in this phase, the public and staff engagement will be incorporated to determine proposed levels of service. And those proposed levels of service will go into a 10-year financial plan. The exercise hopes to align expectations with reality and optimize asset lifecycle activities. So that's the asset portion of the project. Okay, next slide. Combined project activities. So the survey will include incentives and draw prizes to create participation. Social media advertising, posters, and in-person copies of the survey will be available at the office. And we will send out an insert with the water bills to let people know about the survey. So after completion of the survey, it will be followed by summary of the results into a report, and then a town hall will occur. So there's a tentative date in October for that, where those results will go into collaboration at that time. So next slide. The benefits of the project are really increased community engagement and buy-in, and suggestions for improvement, open doors to future engagement, and help align desired service levels with asset management and financial planning. The hopes are to minimize budget constraints, that's overall objective, and continued consideration of the likelihood and risks of potential asset failure will go into asset management planning as that comes forward to council in the future. So next slide. Turn it over to you.
Okay, so we've outlined a timeline here, and you are currently at the council meeting, August 12th. So we invite you to review the survey, the questions, and provide your feedback within about a week's time, August 19th, so that we can make any adjustments necessary, finalize our promotional materials and our advertising materials and our mailers, and get ready for the inserts that should say water bill, not tax. For the inserts for the end of the month, where the letter will go out. And then we will launch the survey on September the 8th. It'll be open for approximately 3 weeks until the end of September. October 1st, the analysis begins. And that's where community engagement will be analyzing data, as well as asset management will be analyzing data. So we'll be looking at it from different perspectives and slicing and dicing it in multiple different ways. I'd also like to point out that the survey was, when it was formulated, it was put together in a way that it would benefit all the departments within the town, and that there would be a lot of information that we could share with each of the departments as far as the types of programs that people are enjoying, ideas and suggestions they may have for what they'd like to see coming up across the different departments in the town. So we want this survey to be really comprehensive and to really, if we're going to ask the public to take 10 minutes and give us their feedback, we want to be sure that we're getting the correct information, that we can actually use it and that it serves a purpose for all of us as a town. So we're proposing a tentative open house with council that is also open to the public, where we'll be presenting the findings on the asset management. We'll also be having draws. There is an incentive for people that complete the survey. They can enter the draw. They can choose to remain anonymous if they so choose, or they can provide us with their information if they want to enter a draw to win some downtown dollars and some local gift cards. We'll also offer them the opportunity if they're interested in participating in focus groups. I've left it general like that because I'll follow up with them if they indicate that they would like to join in a focus group, as well as we're asking about their volunteer, if they'd like to volunteer, if they've ever volunteered for the town, or what's stopping them from volunteering. So if they indicate that they want us to reach back out to them for one of those reasons, then they can give us their contact information. So at the open house, we'll hold the draws as well, and there'll be some interaction, and we might share some of the community engagement findings. But primarily the open house will be about the asset management piece. And then next steps will be carried forward with the information that we've received. And here's a more detailed timeline. I won't get into all the details. This is also contained in the R&R in the package, but it more or less is our timeline, and I've broken out. We are doing some small meta ads, which is Facebook, Instagram. We'll be doing some ads. We'll be doing mailers and posters. There'll be a media release going out to all our media contacts. So we're exploring every avenue of getting this out there. We really want as many people as possible to provide feedback. That's what will make it the most valuable if we can get a good amount of feedback from the public. And then we can really see what people are interested in, what they like, and ideas for new programs and services and how we can improve. And these are just some samples of some graphics that we've done so far, social media posts and the posters. There'll be a link and a QR code on all of it, so they can just hold their phone up, press that QR code, boom, it takes them straight to the survey. So we're making it really easy for them. There'll be a web page on parrysound.ca. They can go there if they want to click and fill in the form there. We will also have paper copies available in regular font and in large print available at the reception at Town Hall, town office here. And I'm in the process of beginning to video a staff promotional video. And this is just a video where staff are inviting the public to complete the survey.
Okay, Councillor McCann, now you can ask your question.
Okay, so I see the survey in our package here. So the one that we're initially taking is online then?
Through you, Your Worship, the survey is primarily online. It's an online survey, but for those that are not able to complete it online, we will have a paper copy available at the reception. And my email address will also be on the posters if they would like me to email them a copy that they can print and complete. But they can email it back to me, or they can drop it off at the town office.
Ready to go now then?
We're getting close. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Keith and then Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. Just a couple questions. One would be, I noticed there'll be printed copies available. I'm wondering if the library has been approached, or if that would also be considered, because there's a lot of people that attend the library. And if there were some printed copies available there, that might be really helpful to them, because that is really a happening place. And the other comment would be, there are 40 questions on that survey. So I think that one should be able, if the survey is completed, should be able to get a lot of information. But I think that it may take a bit of time for me to fill out an answer for 40 questions, but certainly it'll be worth it. So I think the incentive is a positive, but I'm also wondering, does that mean at the open house for the draws, the person then has to also be at the open house, even though they've done the survey, or have you figured that one out yet?
Right, thank you. And through you, your worship, that's a great idea about the library, and that's exactly the kind of feedback that I was hoping to receive prior to launch. So that's definitely something we can look at. Is a few other key places to leave some printed and good to know so that if we do choose to have other locations, that they get included in our communication as well. So send those ideas to me. That's wonderful. As far as the length of the survey goes, it on the digital copy is created using Microsoft Forms, and Microsoft Forms has indicated that it takes approximately 8 to 10 minutes to complete. And the reason it is so short is because we have made most of the options are just click, 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 click. So they're options that you just click a radio button or click a check mark. And we've made it so quick and user friendly. It's very easy to even fill out on a phone or a tablet. Now, it will take a bit longer for anyone who's doing the print copy, of course, but we wanted to offer that as an option for accessibility. Did I get all your?
No, the last one was the open house. Does that mean you're still deciding whether one has to be at the open house to get that prize when they filled out the form?
Oh, yes, great, thanks. And through your worship, no, anyone that wants to take part in the survey, or sorry, take part in the prize draw or volunteer or join a focus group will be providing their contact information. So if they're not present, we will be recording the session as well, and it'll go on our YouTube channel, but we will reach out to them if they're not present. So they will still win, and we won't move on to other winners. But we do have a few prizes. So you have a few shots of winning.
Excuse me, Ms. O'Connor, could you just stop screen sharing, please? Thanks.
Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. Out of curiosity for the public open house, would there also be an opportunity to have, or maybe already included, just like a presentation, perhaps, or an update from Public Works about projects that are upcoming, and just, different projects that are on the go for the town as well?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we can consider providing a bit of an update. For the open house night, we'll be working together with Public Sector Digest to use the data and the data that we've collected to inform the asset management plan. So it will maybe be like levels of service focused, different areas of the town, but I can definitely put my mind to how we can provide an update of what's going on to the public, I guess, at that time.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I believe there used to be an open house in that regard. I don't know when the last one was, but yeah, that could be included. That'd be great. Sure.
Okay.
Councillor Ashford?
Great idea, Council McDonald. But in addition, I would be supportive if you need more money for that meta budget. That it seemed a little bit smaller to me than I would like. So if that is something, I'd be supportive of that, because I think we're going to get a lot of the demographic that'll do the paper will go to see the posters, and we'll do the meta. See it on meta will be somewhat diverse.
Councillor McCann?
I just wanted to add and remind the public that, we were talking about the library as being a place to pick up printed copies. You can also use the computers there to go online and do the same type of surveys. So the library is the little library that could and did, and there is a lot going on there.
Okay, we have a resolution. It's moved by Councillor Bielanski and seconded by Councillor Ashford, that staff be directed to proceed with the Asset Management Community Engagement Survey as described in the August 12th, 2025 report to Council. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for the presentation. Moved by Councillor Keith and seconded by Councillor Ashford. The council accepts the bid from Outdoor Decor Canada Limited in the amount of $124,362.20, including taxes for sidewalk replacement on Bow Street, Bay Street, Market Square Park, and Wabano Beach. This being the lowest qualified bid received, and that the project be funded from the 2025 capital budget. Any discussion? Councillor Ashford?
I first wanted to note that I just love the pictures, the maps there. Made it real easy as I was trying to look up addresses, and I started scrolling. I saw they're all put out there pretty good. But my question is, we've kind of heard before that we were trying to save on mobilization expenses and kind of doing like large single sections at a time or a year, that kind of thing. And then this one seems a little bit more broken up. But again, the tender's pretty big. So I was just wondering where that kind of fits in. Is it, are these kind of more like real emergency repairs, like they got to be done in the next year? So we're kind of breaking it up a bit and we're going to lose a little bit on mobilization. Or is it just we're doing a lot this year and the mobilization's working out in that, in that we're doing such a volume anyways?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll just go through the thought process a little bit here. We were going to do a big stretch up by Belvedere. Due to the upcoming work that came, I had conversations with the contractor and it kind of pushed that out till next year. So we're going to probably look at that next year because I know there's some concerns from the public. So the thought process this year is we had some concerns from the public and some issues with down on Bay Street with how rutted it is and major hazards. So we chopped it up a little bit this year. I don't want to use the word, I guess, chopped, but it shouldn't affect the mobilization as much if they know this, they're bidding on it as a whole. But this should mitigate a lot of the major issues that we heard from the public even recently on Bow Street, that the sections that are of concern. Yeah.
Councillor Borneman?
Well, supportive of seeing sidewalks rehabilitated wherever we can. It's unfortunate that the province hasn't responded to the query we made concerning Mr. Jenkins' concerns for disabled people and the challenges that this type of construction poses for wheelchairs. The other, I guess, question for you, Mr. Bonanza, I didn't see it in the R&R. Is there any kind of sealant being applied to these sidewalks? I noticed, again, you and I've had this conversation about the work that was done last year on William Street with respect to spalling, and I don't know if there's a sealant that prevents that or not, but I guess it concerns me that we do whatever we have to do to make these things last as long as possible.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So there is in the OPS standards that we refer to in the tender document. It's like a hardener. It almost looks like a powder that they put on top, not a sealant per se. And the concrete is tested per the standard to be put down on the sidewalk. There also is a year warranty period on these where we go back and look at them as well. So if there's any deficiencies, we go to the contractor and we have a look and see what the issues are.
Councillor Keith?
Yes, I guess I have at least three questions here. Some of it may have been covered, but it seems to me in many areas there's a need. So you had to determine of the you had to prioritize what needs seemed to be the highest amount of need this year. And this is why you did the breakup, so to speak, in sections. And I can appreciate that. But I'm also wondering the sidewalk that will be put down, the replacement sidewalk, will it be the same size and will it be the exact location, or is there a moving in and out one way or the other? Is it going to be exactly the same?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're going to put it probably back exactly where it is, where we can. We are moving the sidewalks that are not to standard out to your 5 feet in width. So there may be a deviation of a foot here and there, but to get it to that AODA standard, we may have to deviate, not much, just by a foot, but.
And the last question had to do, is this a Canadian company and you've checked it out to make sure that we should be getting quality work?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, every time there's a Canadian company down out of Toronto area, and they'll be using concrete products out of, our local dealers here. And I have vetted, I've called the resources, references. Actually, two were municipalities. I believe one, it was actually Aurelia. They did the similar size tender with them as well. And nothing but positive feedback, so.
Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keith, second by Councillor Beleski. Whereas the four laning of Highway 400 from Parry Sound to Sudbury has been planned for several years. Whereas the original completion date was 2017. Whereas 68 kilometers of highway between the town of Parry Sound to Sudbury remains to be four-laned. And whereas the two-lane portion of the highway represents a serious safety concern, whereas Highway 400 is an important economic corridor to Northern Ontario and Western Canada, whereas on September 6, 2022, Town Council supported MPP Jamie West's call on the province to expedite the completion of the four-laning of Highway 400 between Sudbury and Parry Sound, whereas the four-laning has not been completed. Now therefore be it resolved that the province be requested to complete the four-laning of the remaining 68 kilometers of highway between Parry Sound and Sudbury as soon as possible, and that the municipalities of McDougall, Whitestone, Killarney, French River, and the township of the Archipelago, Carling, McKellar, and Seguin, and the great city of Greater Sudbury, and First Nations communities of Shawangha, Henvey Inlet, Magnetowan be asked to indicate their support for of this resolution by October 2nd, 2025. Following October 2nd, 2025, staff request a meeting with the Minister of Transportation to present the resolution and discuss the completion of the project, and that this resolution be circulated to the municipalities and First Nation communities identified above and copied to MPP Graydon Smith. And I think Minister Ford as well, or Premier Ford as well. Councillor Borneman.
I ask for this to come back to the table, your worship. I recognize that four laning doesn't solve all of the problems, but it certainly helps. The MTO are in the process now of investigating ways to spend millions of dollars to rehabilitate the existing parts of Highway 69 that are still in use. And this has been a really gruesome summer on that stretch of road. There, it seems almost weekly there have been accidents and in often cases injuries and deaths. So, let's get on with it and get the job done and put public safety first for a change.
100%. Councillor Ashford.
When the industrial park met with Minister Smith, he suggested mentioning the Ring of Fire when we do applications for things. And I was wondering if that is something that maybe we could add in there as a gateway to the northern and to the western and the Ring of Fire, if that would be beneficial or not. I don't know, but just might be a key word that would give an example of why access to the north here is so important.
It's an important economic corridor. That's, I think, good. Councillor McCann.
I certainly support this. I've been driving that highway for 45 years now. When I first moved down here, it was two lanes all the way down, and there was some realigning, especially around the northern parts. Councillor Borneman is right. It's not going to save us from every accident. We just recently south of town, there was a collision between two vehicles apparently heading in the same direction. But it is nice I know that when you're heading north and you finally hit the 4 lanes, there's a great sense of confidence and comfort that you feel when you hit that 4 laning. It's also smoother and easier going, and you get to go 100 clicks again. And I don't think in my lifetime I thought I'd ever see any 4 laning at all north of Parry Sound. So what we do have, I'm very grateful for, but it's time to get this finished.
Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Keith and second by Councillor Bileski, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound hereby approves sending a letter drafted by Phenom to the Prime Minister and the Premier of Ontario regarding expanding Highway 11 and 17 in Northern Ontario using the 2-1 highway model. Discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor McCann. Whereas over 800 children under the age of 15 are diagnosed with cancer each year in Canada, and whereas 1 in 330 children will be diagnosed with cancer before their 18th birthday, and whereas childhood cancer is the #1 cause of death by disease of Canadian children, and whereas there are over 200 types of childhood cancers, not including subtypes and mutations, and whereas childhood cancer places tremendous financial burden on families, and whereas over 75% of childhood cancer survivors live with at least one chronic health condition, and a third of these are severe or life-threatening. And whereas little is known about what causes childhood cancer, which limits the opportunities for prevention, and whereas additional awareness and funding for childhood cancer is needed, as only 5 cents from every research dollar goes towards childhood cancer research. And whereas annually, September is officially recognized as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month by the province of Ontario. Now, therefore, the Council of the Town of Parry Sound hereby proclaims September 1st to the 30th, 2025 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the Town of Parry Sound. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Borneman. Whereas in May 2nd, 2025, the Government of Ontario, hereafter the province, enacted Bill 17, also known as the Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act 2025, hereafter the Act, which will defer development charges, hereafter DCs, and their associated revenues and increase collection efforts and costs. And whereas DCs collected from developers are necessary to help municipalities fund the capital costs of infrastructure and services required to support new housing. Now therefore, the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Parry Sound supports the Town of Goderich resolution in opposition to Bill 17, Protect Ontario by Building Faster Act, and requests the province of Ontario provide municipalities with clarity on how they should fund the capital costs of infrastructure and services required to support new growth, given the impacts to overall DC revenue. Wishes to be known that the constant change to the province's planning and development framework is creating uncertainty and is ultimately reducing the construction of housing, and directs the clerk to forward a copy of this resolution to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, Honourable Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Parry Sound Muskoka MPP Graydon Smith, Parry Sound Muskoka MP Scott Aitchison, AMCTO, and AMO, and the Town of Goderich. Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Whereas the Georgian Bay Biosphere Reserve was designated by UNESCO in 2004 as a region of global ecological significance, And whereas the town of Parry Sound is committed to promoting environmental values and sustainable development and have collaborated with the Georgian Bay Mindugami Biosphere GBB organization on many projects since 2014, including conservation, education, climate action, community development, and reconciliation. And whereas the UNESCO Biosphere Reserve designation and the work coordinated by the GBB as an organization in Canada are both highly valued by our community and our council. Now, therefore, the town of Parry Sound is proud to support the Georgian Bay Biosphere Reserve and its continued designation by UNESCO and look forward to participating in the next 10 years of collaborative activities. Any discussion? Councillor Bileski?
Thank you, your worship. My thoughts on this, is I'd like to see it maybe put off for a week or so or a couple meetings. After that presentation tonight, I'd like a little more information on it.
Well, this is our current biosphere.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't read it right. No, go ahead.
Okay,
then, yeah.
all right.
Sorry about that.
Okay, all right.
I'm just not reading it right, yeah.
Okay,
My fault.
all right. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried, none opposed. Thank you.
Getting late.
Moved by Councillor McCann, second by Councillor Borneman, that bylaw number 2025-7523 being a bylaw to authorize a subdivision agreement with 1000291 Ontario Incorporated, S 2024-01 Louisa Street be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Borneman, second by Councillor McCann, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Mr. Rand.
Sorry, my first time turning this on tonight.
What's
Excuse me.
that?
My first time turning this on tonight, forgot how. We do have Jamie Robinson here on from MHVC, who's working on the file on behalf of the town. And we also have Tim Kane as well, who is here on behalf of the proponent. If Tim wants to move up to the mic in case there's any questions, I think you're welcome to do that. So I'll just turn the mic over to Jamie, if that's okay with you.
Mr. Robinson, how are you?
Excellent. Thank you, Worship. Thanks for letting me attend virtually this evening. It gave me the opportunity to coach T-ball tonight and everybody won. So it was great.
That's important.
So thanks very much. Your Worship and Council, this is there's a staff report in front of you and a bylaw. And the purpose of this application, it's a draft approval application. And it's a proposed draft plan of subdivision. There has been a public meeting held for this application. The location of it's on Louisa Street. It does propose a number of residential units in a variety of built forms. As part of what's being requested of council tonight is there's a number of conditions of draft plan approval that would accompany any bylaw that council passes to provide draft plan approval. Some of the highlights of the conditions and the one specifically that I'll touch on is that one of the conditions does require that the site be zoned appropriately to recognize the proposed built form and tenures that are being proposed. There's various townhouse style units, semi-detached and single detached as part of this development. The original proposal that was first brought to the town did have a higher density than what's coming before council now. But through the review of the application, town staff and myself have worked with the applicant to make sure that the proposal does align with the current density provisions within the official plan. And we were able to, what we believe, get to a development concept that's more in line with what's envisioned by the plan. So what's important for council to understand about the zoning piece and the need for the zoning bylaw amendment is there is a public process associated with that. So there would be a statutory public meeting held to deal with the zoning bylaw amendment at a future date. And that's a condition of approval. So nothing can go forward, nothing can get registered here until the zoning for the site takes effect. This draft plan application has been reviewed by the various town departments, and we've consulted with the town departments in preparing the draft plan conditions. So with that, Mr. Mayor, or Your Worship, if there's any questions of council related to the proposed development, either myself, Mr. Rand, or Mr. Kane, we can do our best to try to answer those tonight. But that's sort of a high-level overview of the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Rand, this has been brought up before, but for the servicing there, is there sufficient capacity to service this development?
Through Your Worship, the report does talk a bit about the servicing capacity within that area. Prior to any sign off on the conditions, we would have to verify the servicing capacity at pump station 11. At this time, like until we can run the numbers, we can't say for certain, but we do know that this subdivision is probably, something that's going to happen down the road. So we would have to verify at that time that servicing capacity is available for this project. That being said, too, the report does reiterate as well that we only allocate capacity at the time of building permit. So they would actually have to, I guess, demonstrate twice, once at the prior to approval of the draft plan, and then again once the building permits are available.
Okay. Councillor McCann.
Thank you. I guess, Mr. Rand, well, actually, I've got two questions, actually. One, in reading through this, and I'm just curious, I noticed that in looking for comments from various departments, exterior, interior, that the public school board and the Catholic school board have been mentioned, but I never see any reference to the French school board, which is, now has an identity here in town. Is that just an oversight? That would be my first question.
Through your worship, I would have to look to see if they are if they're an agency that's required to be circulated, and whether or not they were circulated. I don't have that information in front of me, but we could certainly look into that and make sure that they were circulated. Having some previous school board experience myself, the comments that we received from them are fairly standard. That's why we put them together, but we can certainly reach out if they are an agency that needs to be consulted under the Planning Act.
Sure, I can see the French enrollment growing over the years. The other question I had was more or less, what will Louisa Street look like after this, this is done? Because obviously it will have to be upgraded.
Through your worship, at this point in time, I can't say for sure what Louisa Street's going to look like by the time this development comes to fruition. At this point, there's no requirement for like sidewalk extensions to Bow Street or traffic lights or those kind of things. However, there are functional servicing and traffic studies required as part of this prior to the final approval of the draft plan of subdivision. So those types of requirements could be hashed out prior to these lots being created. And those are spelled out in the conditions that council's considering tonight.
So the infrastructure is in the ground then to service this subdivision?
Through your worship, there is water and sewer south of these subject lands. It's my understanding that the capacity of the water and sewer like piping infrastructure, I am speaking a little bit outside of my expertise, but it's my understanding that would need to be upgraded. And in addition, the local pump station would need to be verified that there is capacity as well. And those would be at the cost of the applicant to upgrade those services.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Keith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of questions. One is that I appreciate seeing the green space in different areas in this planned subdivision. But I know that sometimes when we had these beautiful schematics there, I want to feel more comfortable knowing that in the operations, for example, snow removal, that there's not going to be issues down the road in reference to that. And I'm wondering, has that been examined? Because I know in some areas in town already where a developer went in and they put a beautiful green spot in an area. Well, it was great at the time, but then snow come and where are we putting it? And neighbors and residents pretty upset. Could you advise me of that? That's my first question.
Thank you, Worship. Through you to Councillor Keith. So with regard to the parkland dedication specifically, there's a requirement under the Planning Act that a certain amount of land be dedicated to the municipality or cash in lieu. In this case, there is some park land being dedicated to the municipality. The specific design or function of that park is yet to be determined. What's on this, there wasn't attachment number 5, which is sort of colored. I think that's the one you're referring to. So what's on that plan isn't exactly what that park would look like. So we would consult with our Parks and Recreation team to determine, what's needed and that kind of thing. We would look at the Parks and Trails Master Plan to help come up with those designs. And with regard to snow storage, that's something that would likely come out of the functional servicing report, because we would look at things like drainage as well, because it's not just snow storage, it's what happens to it when it melts. Are we creating icy conditions and those types of things? So there were some general reports that were submitted with the application in order for this application to be complete, but we would need more detailed reports prior to giving final approval of the plan of subdivision.
So then there are 2 other questions along that same area. I understood there would be a sidewalk on one side that would be the developer's responsibility. Would the town be determining what side was the appropriate side for the sidewalk to be on?
Through you, Your Worship, the proposal came in. We know the location that's being proposed. That was circulated to our Engineering Public Works Department as well as our engineering peer review. So that was not a concern as far as we know. So through the traffic study, I suppose that it could change, but there's no concerns with this specific location at this time.
Last question is in reference to that traffic study. I take it, would it go all the way up to the intersection of Louisa and Bow Street? Because we know that there has been concerns expressed there already about trying to make a left turn. And obviously this is a wonderful idea, but it means more traffic. So will that be included, that intersection, for the traffic study?
Through your worship, that's correct. I think there's been some analysis at this point in terms of, the capacity of Louisa Street and that sort of thing. But prior to final approval, our Engineering Public Works Department would have to be comfortable that our infrastructure can handle that and those details are implemented. I would also note that if there were any upgrades or that sort of thing, we would take securities. All offsite works would be at 100% securities, and on-site I believe are 50%. So that would be an additional way of ensuring that those works are constructed to the satisfaction of the town.
Well, just for clarification, I'm just wondering, in the past, if down the road, there needed to be some sort of traffic, whatever, signals or whatever near that intersection as a result of that development, have we in the past examined any sort of private town partnership, that sort of thing? Has that ever happened?
Through your worship, if there were upgrades that were required and they haven't been identified at this time, they would be at the cost of the applicant or some sort of sharing with the applicant, because there are other lots in the area that could be developed. And Acorn Ridge, for example, has some approvals. So we know that there's a certain level of development happening. Again, I'm speaking a little bit out of my expertise. Mike would be able to explain it a little bit better, but obviously there's a cumulative effect of development happening in the area, and we would look at those cumulative effects, and if needed, we could, I don't know, prorate, so to speak, the cost of upgrades amongst the developments.
Okay. Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Borneman.
Is there a timeline with this going forward, Mr. Wren, with respect to public meetings and?
Through your worship, the conditions specifically state that there's 5 years to meet the conditions of the to meet the draft plan conditions. If the applicant can't meet that timeline, then they would have to apply to council in order to extend the timeline for draft conditions. I believe it's 3 years. But it's 2 or 3 years that the Planning Act allows for extension. So within 5 years, they would need to come to the town and say, you know, we weren't able to meet the conditions in the time frame. We need an additional 2 or 3 years to meet these conditions. Within the conditions, as Jamie Robinson noted, there's a requirement for zoning amendment, so that would be a public process.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McCann, that bylaw number 2025-7524 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement of purchase and sale and forgiveness of loan for 44 Joseph Street be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings, and that's carried. Moved by Councillor McCann, second by Councillor McDonald, the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Okay. Oh, right here. So moved by Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor McCann, that bylaw number 2025-7525 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council be considered as read a first time. All in favor? Oh,
We were
yes.
going to do the
We
other,
got the one.
I think there
for-
were 2 of them, right?
We've got the ones done. But the other one has to do with the parking. Yeah. So. Yes. So. Yes. Okay. So can I have a mover and seconder for the direction, please? Councillor Keith, Councillor Ashford. That staff be directed to bring a report and a recommendation back to council regarding community support services request for a volunteer parking permit program as described in their July 23rd, 2025 letter. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Okay. You can come back. Wait. Thanks, Councillor Borneman. Anyway, moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McCann, that bylaw number 2025-7525, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council be considered as read a first time. All in favor? That's carried. All members in favor of having the second and third readings? That's carried. Moved by Councillor McCann, seconded by Councillor McDonald, that the bylaw above mentioned be considered as read a second and third time, passed, signed, and sealed. All in favor? That's carried. So before I read the next council meeting notice, a reminder again, applications open on Thursday, August the 14th for the Town of Parry Sound's $500 scholarship. Eligible applicants have will have a permanent home address in the town of Parry Sound, be a student of a Canadian university or college in their second year of studies as of September 2025. For complete eligibility criteria and application and form, check the town's website at town services, and you'll find scholarship as one of the options. That's town services, and then click scholarship. Deadline for the applications Friday, August the 29th at 12 noon. So prior to adjourning, I'd like to offer the following information to for the next council meeting. The next meeting of council for the town of Parry Sound is scheduled for Tuesday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. The meeting will be held at the town of Parry Sound Council Chambers at 52 Sequence Street, entrance via Gibbon Street. It will be live streamed and recorded. All regular council meetings are held at 7 p.m. on the first and third Tuesday of each month, except January and August, where only one regular meeting is scheduled. Council meeting schedule, notices of special council meetings, complete agendas and minutes and instructions on accessing the live streamed and recorded council meetings are all posted on the town's website. Go to www.parrysound.ca and use the search bar. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.